Hello my dear friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joy and today in this lecture we will discuss about fixed maturity plans or FMPs. Now if we look into the current affair, the Kotak mutual fund and the HDFC mutual fund, they have recently wrote to their investors in the fixed maturity plans that their securities are troubled. So with this, we will understand what is fixed maturity plans and what are the differences between mutual funds and fixed maturity plans, what are the concerns or the risk involved in mutual funds and fixed maturity plans, and we will also see what is the larger implication of it and how this can be overcome, what is the role of SEBI, etc. So we will discuss all these in detail in this lecture. But before we begin, this is our channel StudyIQ and we are providing pen drive courses for various competitive examinations including SSC and bank courses, UPSC optionals, SSC JE courses, teaching examination, railway examination, defense examination, RBI grade B, NABARD grade A, UGC NET, UPSC Civil Services Examination, CLAT exams for various state PSCs and also for various professional courses. You can visit our website www.studyiq.com for more details, or you can call to any of these numbers for more information. Now let us understand what is the difference between mutual funds and FMPs or fixed maturity plans. First, let us understand what is mutual funds. So a mutual fund or an asset management company is an investment vehicle made up of pools of money collected from public investors. So in a mutual fund, you know that there are different or a many number of investors, and usually an asset management company or a mutual fund collect or create a pool of these monies collected from different investors, and this pooled money is used to buy other securities by the professional money managers. So this money pooled from different small investors are together used to buy securities, and this will be done by professional money managers. Therefore, there will be a professionalism or a exposure to professionally managed portfolios of equities. So in this way, mutual funds help small investors with small investments to access professionally managed portfolios of equities, bonds or other securities. Otherwise, what happens? A small investor, a person or a household doesn't have exposure to professionally managed equities or debts. But in a mutual fund, the mutual fund provides an opportunity to bring in their small investment, and all these small investments are pooled together, and this will be together invested in a security, and this is done by a professional manager, and therefore these small investors will have an opportunity to invest in professionally managed equities, bonds or other securities. Now let us understand what are FMPs or fixed maturity plans. So fixed maturity plans are a subtype of mutual funds. They are fixed tenure mutual funds. So those mutual funds which have a fixed tenure is called FMPs or fixed maturity plans. So we can say that fixed maturity plans are fixed tenure mutual fund schemes that invest in debt instruments. So here investment is made only in debt instruments, and these includes government securities, commercial papers, non-convertible debentures, certificates of deposits, etc. So since they are debt investments or debt instruments, they generate income in the form of interest to the investors. So the income or the return to the investors is in the form of interest, and these are close-ended funds that mature after a predetermined time period. Now let us understand what is the risk involved in the FMPs or fixed maturity plans. So we have seen that they are debt instruments. So definitely two characters of debt instruments are that they have lesser risk and fixed return. So lesser risk and fixed return are two general characteristics of debt instruments. Compared to equity, it has lesser risk and fixed return in the form of interest. These are the two important characters of debt instruments. But the debt instruments or the debt investments can also be very risky. If the fund house has invested in debt securities of a company that are not financially strong and those companies that have liquidity pressure. So if the investment is not made in the right place or in the right company, Say for example, if the company is not financially strong or there are liquidity issues in the company, then it can turn into a risky investments. So in that case, the investments may suffer in the event of a default by the company. But in case of FMP, the biggest challenge is that the investors in the FMP or fixed maturity plans have no legal grounds for any complaint. What is the reason? This is because such defaults are a part of market risk, and while investing in the mutual funds, the investor must have signed an agreement which says that the returns are subject to market risk. So there is no legal ground for complaint, and that is the biggest challenge involved in FMPs or fixed maturity plans. Now coming to the recent happening. In the beginning we have discussed about the Kotak mutual fund as well as the HDFC mutual fund. So what happened with these two mutual funds is that those mutual funds or the fixed maturity plans were due for maturity, but the company was not able to repay the entire amount. Now let us look into the details. Those investors who invested in the Kotak mutual fund FMP, that is fixed maturity period mutual funds, around December 2015, they were supposed to get their capital along with the interest income in the month of April 2019. But the company had huge liquidity crisis. So this led to delay in recovery, and therefore the Kotak was forced to hold back the payments that was due to the investors. Similar incident happened in HDFC mutual fund also. The investors did not get their return along with the interest income. So these are the two recent happenings. Now let us understand what are the larger implications of it. The scheduled commercial banks, they are already facing a big NPA crisis. NPA is non-performing assets, and a loan or an asset of a bank becomes a NPA when the principal amount or the interest is due for more than 90 days. So banks are already facing a big NPA crisis, and this is on account of default by a number of corporate entities on their debt instruments. Now the present case with Kotak as well as HDFC is an indication of the problem of loan defaults reflecting in the fixed maturity plans or the FMPs. So those commercial banks and the NBFCs who have given loans to these companies, they are also under risk. Now they are not repaying the dues of the investors. So those banks who have lended to them, they are also at risk now. There can be increased loan defaults by these companies. And the biggest concern here is that the two asset management companies, they were already aware of their liquidity crisis, but they did not inform their investors about their inability to repay the proceeds earlier. They did it only just before the maturity date. So there was lack of transparency, and the investors were not well informed about the liquidity position of these two companies. If there has been an earlier intimation to the investors, they would have been able to invest in other finances in a better manner. So we can say that the communication between the asset management company to the investors is very poor. So here SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, who is the regulator, needs to step in. Now what has to be done? We have seen that SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, is the regulator of the financial market. So SEBI has to evolve a material disclosure regime for mutual funds with standard communication formats. In case of listed companies, those companies that are listed on the stock exchange, there is a standard procedure for communication to the investors. So same has to be adopted in case of FMPs also. And SEBI should also strictly enforce security specific limits in debt funds, and the mutual fund managers should also be more cautious on dealing with the investment of the investors, and they should also hold greater accountability to the investors for the choices and mechanisms that they adopt. So the investors should be properly communicated, and there should be greater accountability and transparency between the mutual fund managers and the investors. Investors should be well aware on where their funds have been deployed and what mechanisms has been adopted by the mutual fund managers on deploying their funds. You can follow my Facebook page for more video updates, and please write to me at joyshi.studyiq@gmail.com for any of your queries or clarifications. Thank you.